Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, I think, which means nothing. But I'm gonna have spaghetti for dinner, so to go with that, I'm gonna make focaccia today. Focaccia is this really delicious bread that you dimple and then put toppings on top of, kind of like a pizza, but not quite a pizza. When I lived in Banff, I would always walk down to this bakery called Wildflower, and they have super delicious focaccia there, and you can buy a big square of it. So good. So that's what we're gonna make today. So the first thing we gotta do is get our yeast started. So in the bowl of your mixer, we're gonna put 1 cup of warm water. Again, we want this water to activate our yeast, so it needs to be pretty warm. If it feels hot to the touch, that's perfect, but you don't want it to be boiling because that will cook our yeast. Pour that into our mixing bowl. And then to that, I'm gonna add a teaspoon of honey. You can also use a teaspoon of sugar or maple syrup, anything sugary. This is just gonna feed our yeast. I like to use honey or maple syrup just because it is already sort of liquidy, so it melts into the water really easily. Same thing if I make salad dressing, put it in instead of sugar, and it just melts right in there really easily. Awesome, so I just stirred that in there. Looks good. And then to that, we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of yeast. And I just have this instant yeast again, but whatever you've got should work. So you just want to sprinkle that on top. It's kind of hard to see. That's it. We're gonna leave this sit for about 10 minutes at room temperature, and hopefully it will get all bubbly and delicious to put our other ingredients into. Awesome, so I'll see you in a few minutes. It's alive! So if you see our yeast has gotten all foamy on top, that's perfect. Now we're gonna add in our flour and a few other ingredients in there. So I'm gonna add to this 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Ideally olive oil if you've got it, because that's gonna add a lot of flavor. If you don't have it, just use regular oil. All right, that's in there. Then I'm gonna add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, just regular salt. And I'm also gonna add a teaspoon of some herbs. This is a garlic mix. If you have Italian mix, even better. I just happen to have used all mine up. Or you can leave it without anything. Maybe a little oregano or basil, yum. And then I've got 2¼ cups of regular flour. Dump that in. And then this one we're gonna mix in our mixer with a dough hook. That's what this weird thing is for. It kind of kneads up the dough for you. And then we're gonna have to knead a little bit with our arms as well. So I'm gonna get that started, and then we'll let it mix for like 4 or 5 minutes. Not sure, we'll see what it looks like, and I'll be right back with that one. All right, it's actually been about 12 minutes that this has been mixing, and I did have to add another 1/4 cup of flour. So there's a total of 2.5 cups of flour in here. Then if you can kind of see, I'll try to lift this up. The dough ball's kind of pulling away from the sides of the bowl. So it's not sticking to the side of the bowl, it's sticking to the middle ball. That's what we want. So that's perfect. We're gonna turn this off, and then you're just gonna plop that into a greased bowl, and we're gonna let that sit for about 2 hours. We want it to rise up and double in size, and just put a cloth on top of your bowl, or I have this handy dandy lid, so I'm just gonna put a lid on it, let it sit, and then we'll see what it looks like in a few hours. Just so you have a reference, this is what our dough ball looks like right now. So it's a little bit sticky, that's fine. And then we'll let this guy sit with the lid on. Well, it's been about 1.5 hours. Our dough's set, so you can see it's almost filled up this whole bowl, which is great. So we know it's working. So I'm gonna bake my focaccia in a cast iron pan. So I've just greased it with some olive oil. It's pretty greasy. You want that because it's gonna crisp up the sides of our focaccia while it bakes. So after you put some olive oil in there, just spread it around those sides. And then we're gonna plop our dough into there. Looks yummy. Awesome. And then we just want to spread it out just to fill in this pan. Let's flatten it out. And then this one, we're gonna let sit for another hour until it rises up again. Then we'll dimple it and bake it. So I'm gonna cover it, this time I don't have a lid for my pan, obviously. So I'm just gonna cover it with a tea towel. You could use a saran wrap too. And then we'll see you in an hour. Lovely. So our focaccia bread has sat and it's rised up a bit. So I've preheated my oven to 450 degrees. So pretty hot. We want to bake it like it's in a bread oven. So we need a hot oven. So now the fun part. You just get to dimple the top with your fingers. Ooh, it feels so soft. So just dimple away. And then in all these crevices, we're gonna drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil. And then I chopped up some garlic, but you can put whatever you want on top. I'm in a garlicky mood today, so we're doing garlic. I'm gonna smear that everywhere. Got a little bit of dried basil. Some salt. If you have coarse salt, that's ideal. I have this like red lava salt. That's the coarse salt I've got, so we're using that. If you don't have coarse salt, you can just use any salt. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of Parmesan cheese, because cheese makes everything better, except for if it doesn't want cheese on it. Cake with cheese might be weird. Or delicious, who knows? Don't grate the plastic in. And then I was gonna put some sun-dried tomatoes on here, but they seem to have been all eaten. So I just dried some in the oven, just some regular tomatoes. So I'm gonna pop those on. You can also put things like pepperonis, or if you have olives, you could just leave it plain with olive oil and salt and pepper. Maybe you have some pesto would be really nice on this too. Okay, that looks pretty good. Lovely, so I'm gonna bake this for about 20 minutes till it's golden brown and crisps up there. And then it's ready to go and perfect for dinner. Our focaccia is baked, so if you notice, it's a nice golden brown color. This one tomato got extra crispy. That's okay. It will still taste delicious. So this guy's all baked when it's nice and golden brown. I'll pop it out here so you can see what the bottom looks like. Ooh. Oh yeah, look at all that crispy goodness. So the oil's crisped up the bottom, which is perfect. And now this guy's ready to go, ready to eat. So get your spaghetti ready. Or it will taste really good with olive oil and balsamic. Yes, please. Ooh, amazing. So I am going to eat this now. But thanks for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow and we'll bake something else. Have a great day.